Hello, good morning, everybody. How are we today on this overcast Thursday morning? I hope you're all well. Danielle, good morning. Thank you for reminding me to punch in that welcome message. Good coffee. Cold, but good coffee. Hope you guys are having a lovely morning. Have been having a good week. Madison and Shannon, hello, good morning. As always, thank you for being here today. Joe and Matt are here as well. Move this chair out of the way so I got some more room to stand and move. So if you've noticed, I moved my camera a little bit. I found that sitting all day was really bad for my back and was causing me to get like 3-4 hours of sleep a night. So I'm opting to stand, which means you get to see a little bit more of my house, I guess. Liana, Adam, hello, good morning. It does mean I look down an awful lot, so I apologize if I'm not making eye contact as we move throughout our day today. Michael, good morning. Good to see you. Oh, that's just strange. We'll give a minute or two for some folks to show up. You guys have been actually really great at making sure you're coming out to these live streams, and I really appreciate that. And today we're going to continue our WeVideo. Actually, we're going to wrap up our WeVideo tutorial and then cut you loose on your first assignment. So it's super crucial that we were here, and if we weren't here or able to come last class, I would definitely go and check out the stream from, oh my God, Tuesday, just so you can get caught up on some of the WeVideo stuff. So if you're going to follow along today, open up another tab, get into WeVideo. You can log in and get into the project we were tinkering with. Some of the stuff today is a little bit more nuanced, like a lot of menus and stuff like that, and so I just want to make sure that I can show you all those things to help with your project, but also just so that you know moving forward as we will start to get back into doing some projects, which I'm very excited about. Dylan, good morning. I had someone yesterday in my 4B class that was like, oh, Mr. Leonard, I got your YouTube video up on my phone and I can follow along on WeVideo on my Chromebook. And I was like, that's brilliant. I don't expect you guys to do that, but that was a pretty cool solution so that she was able to do what I was doing. That was pretty cool. I'm going to stop wiggling now. I'm excited. Sorry, I'm just very excited. This whole week has been great because it feels like we're getting back into stuff that we would normally do in a TV production class, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that you're going to find that it lightens your workload a little bit. While projects tend to be more intense, there's obviously more time for them. So if you're managing your time well, you should be able to have fewer things from me that will interfere with some other classes, which will be nice. All right. And the one thing that I just want to be cognizant of today, a little bit more or better than I did on Tuesday, is because I was just so excited I kept going. I just got to keep an eye on the clock to make sure that I don't run into my next period class and that there's some time for us to break and kind of get reset up for that. Monday and Tuesday, a lot of my classes ran a little bit longer, and so I want to just keep an eye on the clock. So we'll get moving here, and if people trickle in a little bit late, they trickle in a little bit late. Cool. So I hope you're well, and without further ado, let's get into part 2 of our WeVideo tutorial, and this will take us to our first assignment. So I'm going to go through some things. I'm going to break for a sec to go over the project assignment, and then I'm going to bounce back into WeVideo to show you the last few little things as they pertain to the project. So you'll have an understanding of what the project is going to entail about halfway through class, and then you'll understand all the extra things I'm asking for towards the end of our class today. So I'm just going to do one quick thing. before I prep. That's the one right there. Ha, cha, 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 cha. Do this, do this. Thank you, thank you. Okay. I can't believe it's Thursday already. That's insane. And this. And then we'll move on over. I know. Calm down. Sweet. Okay, let's get right into it. Stream is good. I will be checking periodically, just so if you see my screen move, it's because I want to keep an eye on the chat, see if you guys have questions, and if you do, please feel free to just throw that in there. Don't feel like you're going to interrupt me or anything. I just might not get to it for a sec. I've got some stopping points for myself to check in with you guys. I'm also going to go check and make sure that my broadcaster is working. It did cut out yesterday in my 1B class, but it was fine the rest of the day, so hopefully there are no more issues. Okay, so let's bounce over to my desktop here, and I'm already into the project that we were tinkering with last time. So as you can see, going into it is going to default to the stock media tab as it always does, and of course this time around it's going to switch up the media that's in there. All right. I got some statues and stuff, which I guess is kind of cool. That's pretty. Like I said last time, the stock menu footage is going to change every time you go into your project or log in, just as an opportunity for you to see the different stuff that's in there. You have access to use any of that stuff in your project, so don't hold back. If you are looking for a shot and you feel like you can supplement it with stuff in the stock media tab, go for it. Okay. If I backtrack a little bit, just bear with me. There may have been some people that weren't here last time, but it's always good to hear some of these things again. So what I wanted to do with you today is go through some of the modification that we can apply to clips, as well as start to piece together what could arguably be the opening part of a project. So I figured the best way to demo some of those things was just to start to work on a simple edit. And so I'm going to go over to the My Media tab in my project menu. All right, and of course go down the project media, because that is the media that I have provided for everyone in this project. All right, it's all contained in this one same space. All right, even your audio tracks. And so I'm going to find the first clip that I want to put in my timeline. And after much deliberation, I have landed on my record player. All right. And so I can see just by clicking this clip once, it'll bounce it over to this program and preview monitor. I can see the duration. I know it's 21 seconds long, which is a really long time. All right, but it gives it an opportunity to be used in a number of different ways. But I don't want all 21 seconds. I'm only going to take part of that 21 seconds. And I know this is the opening clip that I'm going to put in my timeline. And if I want to transition to something afterwards, I have to make sure that I don't use my out point all the way here on the end. Just like in Premiere, remember how I said watch your heads and tails? We need room for that transition to take place. So I'm going to change my out point here just by grabbing the tab on the end of this playback banner here. And I'm going to shrink that down. I'm only going to make it about 5 seconds or so, roughly. Time doesn't matter so much for our example today. And now that I've got that selected, I'm going to move it down into my timeline. And remember, you can't unfortunately drag from the center of the image here down. You can see it starts to highlight stuff. That's been the one thing that my brain is slowly starting to rewire from Premiere, where I'm just so used to in point, out point, and then dragging down. I have to go back to the media pane here to add this to my timeline, and I'm going to dump it in video track 1. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, which is down here in the right-hand corner, just so I can see things a little bit better. And just to help see things a little bit better as well, now that I am zoomed in, I'm going to expand that track a little bit. Okay, so video track 1, if I use this drop-down arrow here, I can change the track height, and I'm going to go to the middle option here, just so I can see the thumbnails a little bit. Now, this image doesn't change too much, but it becomes really helpful to see the whole thumbnail when you've got a bunch of clips in a row. Okay, and I'm going to get my next clip set up. And I figured what better way to transition from some music playing on a record than to some music being performed live. Now, again, I know I'm going to put a transition between these two clips, so I can't have my in point start at the very beginning. I got to start that a little bit in, let room for that transition to take place. So I'm just going to simply move this right until that dude is out of frame. I want to focus all our attention on this lead singer here. And since I don't want the rest of the clip either, which is about 11 seconds long, I'm going to shorten that as well. And I'm going to take it right to the point where she looks away. Right? There we go. Beautiful. And so even within that, right, all the focus is on her. We have some nice camera movement. It's this nice arcing shot around her. And then when she looks away, we're going to cut away. And I'm going to take that clip and I'm going to move it into my timeline. So you'll notice that when I move it into my timeline, it's highlighted in green, which is good. It lets me know it can go in this track or in video track 2. You'll notice as soon as that it starts to cover part of that first clip in there, it'll turn red. And if I let go of my mouse, it won't actually allow me to put that clip in there. Now, what it will allow you to do, all right, is put a clip in front of this clip. So if you're editing and say you're 10 clips deep and you realize, oh man, after the 7th shot, I want to put another shot in there, all right, you instinctually might say, all right, well, I'm going to move the 10th clip down and then the 9th clip down and then the 8th clip down and then the 7th clip down and then put my new clip in front of that and then move everything back down again, all right, which you can do in Premiere, but that ends up being pretty time consuming. So let's just hypothetically say that I wanted to put live band at the beginning of my edit after my edit's finished. And you'll notice that when I bring this down to the timeline now, yes, it's red here, but when I move it to the front of that clip, it turns orange. And if I let go of my mouse, a menu's going to pop open with some options here. I can't trim to fit, okay? I can insert and push. And insert and push is a type of edit. Insert edit is where you move a clip into the timeline, just like we did here in front of a clip, and it will push the existing clip over to the exact duration that the live band clip is. So if I hit insert and push, okay, it's going to move record player down right to the very end of this clip, and it's going to put the live band clip in there first. If there was a gap, all right, and I move live band down, all right, the option trim to fit comes up. That's going to shorten my live band clip to fit that gap, okay? And that could be something that's helpful if you're like, oh, I've got 4 seconds to fill, and it doesn't really matter which part of the clip. Like, you can be a little bit less specific. You can always add in an entire clip and just say trim to fit. Of course, you want to make sure your in points and out points still allow for transitions if that's where you want to put a transition. Now, I don't want it to go there, so I'm going to undo that action. And thankfully, whoops, your Command Z shortcut to undo will allow you to undo actions still in WeVideo, just like they did in Premiere. In fact, the 2 shortcuts that I've been able to use successfully have been Command Z to undo and then Command S to save. So if you remember back in class when we were learning and getting into Premiere, I said 2 of the most important shortcuts you should learn, if anything else, is Command Z to undo and Command S to save. And so I think it's pretty funny that they're the 2 shortcuts here that have carried over. All right, so let's put that live band clip back after my record player before I just check the stream real quick, see how we're doing. Ashley has joined us. Hello, good morning, and welcome. All right, no questions so far. Stream is looking okay. Beautiful. All right, again, feel free to ask questions as we move through together. All right, so all we did here was putting these clips back to back is create a simple cut transition. There we go. Okay. And we'll tinker with some of that transitions in a bit. The one thing that I wanted to show you is when I move these clips to the timeline, all right, you'll notice that when they're selected, there's a tab that pops open above that clip, giving you some options to play with things. And we're going to go through some of those options now. Okay, the one thing that we don't have access to, all right, is any sense of an audio meter in our workspace here to let us know that there is sound playing. And of course, my speakers are muted and my computer doesn't feed into the soundboard. So there is a way to see the audio that's attached to clips, and that's really important because unlike Premiere, WeVideo does not put the audio that's attached to clips in its own track. Okay, so in Premiere, we know that if Live Band actually had audio to it, that audio would appear in the audio track. It doesn't do that in WeVideo. If I expand my track, remember we go over to the track, we use this drop-down arrow, and we go to the largest option, it will show you the audio that's attached to these clips. Now, that's great, okay, because we have a visual representation of that audio, but it really means that your audio track is used exclusively for music and audio that you're adding. All right, whether it's a song or a sound effect or a voiceover, that's what your audio track is going to be used for. So when we get in the projects where you're eventually shooting things at home, all right, you may find that, okay, I'm shooting all this stuff on my phone and I'm uploading those clips to Google Drive and then from Google Drive into WeVideo, but I don't want any of that audio in there. All right, maybe you're shooting something and your brothers and sisters are screaming in the background, or the TV's on around the corner, but all the phone can hear is the news or the TV. Maybe someone's cooking. Could be a lot of sounds that you just don't want. And so, for example, in this section, I can see that my record player has no audio, but my Live Band does, and that's where we'll be able to tinker with some of that audio. So if I select that clip to get this tab to open up here, okay, I can select the speaker icon and it's going to give me some options to adjust our volume. All right, and you'll notice that when that pops open, it should be on by default, okay, but turning that on and off is going to add or take away this blue line in the clip. And you guys should be fairly familiar with that. It's the same as in Premiere where we were able to add keyframes to a line and then make adjustments in our audio. So with that turned on, I can click anywhere on that blue line. As you can see, it's going to add those keyframes. And then I can make adjustments to my audio as I need to. Now, I of course wouldn't want my audio to play like that because that's pretty terrible. So I'm going to undo those actions. All right. Going to go back to that speaker. You also have the option to add an auto fade, which can be really helpful as well. The problem is that if I select on fade, you'll see that it's going to put those keyframes there automatically in the beginning and the end. However, this is a clip that is not the first clip and it's not the last clip, so I don't know why I would want my audio to fade in here when there's a clip before it, and I certainly don't want it to fade out if there's going to be a clip after it. Now you can change this. This is based on duration, so let's just say I want a 1 second fade in and a 0 second fade out. It will get rid of that fade out. If I want to shorten that, I can make it a 0.5. We'll just go right in the middle and it'll adjust that keyframe. All right, the other thing you can do, I'm going to uncheck my fade here, is just bring the volume all the way down. So if you're shooting stuff at home or you've got clips with audio and you don't want that audio in the video at all, select that clip, go to the speaker and bring that volume all the way down. And you'll notice that it goes from light gray to dark gray, all right? And anywhere in between, it shows you where those levels are. The problem is you kind of have to eyeball it, all right? 51% in this clip of volume might be very different than the audio that's recorded in another clip. So you just have to do your best to make sure that your speakers or headphones are pretty consistently leveled throughout when you adjust that. But I'm going to bring that all the way down because I don't want that audio in my video. Now, if we go back on the presumption that you're shooting stuff on your phone, and let's say you put 20 clips in your timeline and you don't want audio in any of them, all right, it would be a little inefficient to click on every clip, bring the volume all the way down, click on the next clip, tab, audio all the way down. You can bring audio down in the entire track over here, all right, where we adjusted the height of our track. So if I go back to video 1, I can see that there's a slider here, and this has to do with the volume in the entire track. So if I put 20 clips in my timeline and I wanted to get rid of the volume of all of them, do it here. Because just by sliding this down, that volume's gone in all 20 clips, and I don't have to go into each one. And if you start to get smart with things, maybe in those 20 clips, you want audio in, I don't know, 5 of them. Well, what I would do is I would put those 5 clips where they're supposed to go, but I would move them up into video track 2. And so now, if I drop this down, video track 2 has volume, but video track 1 doesn't. And so those 5 clips that are in track 2, I'll be able to hear, and the clips in video track 1, I won't. And so that's a really quick way to work and not have to get into each individual clip. All right, so now that my volume, I can keep that at 100 because my volume's down all the way here, right? Yep, clicked it, volume's all the way down. Fantastic. All right, so now that we got these 2 clips in place, we can start to do some simple effect work. All right, add some titles. Typically, these aren't things I would do as I move through the project. I would get all my clips in the timeline first and then go back and start to add some effects and transition and text and titles. But I figured I would give you an opportunity to see that now. Okay. So I'm going to keep video track 2 here for a sec. I'm going to work with this first clip, all right? We know standard practice for most projects is that we need to fade in and fade out at the end. So I'm going to do that on this clip. And I can do that a couple different ways. I can add a transition to the beginning of this clip and have it fade from black. But in managing your workflow, it's always best to be in one layout as much as possible, and going to a different menu and finding an effect and adding it, while not super time consuming, you get a little bit more control in doing the effects manually. So, and I want to show you how to do that, of course, too. So you can always use your effects tab here and find the effect you want to start with, right? In this case, it could very simply be a dip to black. We throw that in, and now all of a sudden, there it is. All right, but I want a little bit more control, so I'm going to select that clip, and I'm going to go back to my media too, and that tab pops open for us to toy with some options. So we already know what the volume one does. Okay, we're going to go to the second option here, where it's our opacity options, and if I click that once, just like volume, that sub menu will pop open, and you'll notice instead of a blue line where the audio is, I have a green line where my video is, and the green line is going to pertain to the opacity. So if I were to bring the opacity down, it would decrease the transparency of that clip, which is going to be over black, but if it was underneath or on top of another clip, we would see what's underneath it. So if I were to add a simple fade, just like in volume, it defaults to a 1 second fade in and a 1 second fade out. And the fade in is great because I'm going to go from black to that shot, but I don't really want to fade out of that shot given that I've got another clip there. That looks kind of weird. So yes, you could go back into it and go to the opacity and then make that a 0 second fade out. All right, which so it'll fade in and then it'll cut to the next clip as we planned. All right, the other thing you can do is just simply don't use that checkbox at all. Add a keyframe where you want it to, and then make that adjustment. All right, editing to some degree is a little bit less specific and more on feel. So if I play this back, actually, I kind of like that. That worked out well. All right, and if we take a look at that, that is a 0.4 second fade in. I probably wouldn't have guessed 0.4 seconds, so it's kind of nice knowing that on feel, I like the way it feels and the way it looks, so that I don't have to just guess arbitrarily at numbers the whole time. So we got this nice fade in, awesome. So while we're there, let's add another transition to this shot. All right, the cut is only a little jarring because of the camera movement, right? We go from a static image, right? The camera's not moving here, to the camera having this nice sweeping arc shot. So I'm going to go to my transitions, and there are a lot of transitions, and remember, if you're not sure what they do, you can always select it once. All right, it'll preview it for you so you have an idea of what it looks like. And there's a lot of really cheesy ones, like that curtain looks pretty terrible. I don't know why you would use paper planes, but I guess you could somewhere. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to use a basic cross dissolve by dragging this clip to the timeline. Now you want to look for that green border, and you want to make sure you're over both parts of the clip. So when you add that, you're going to get a big visual cue that you've added a transition there. All right, and let's take a look at that new transition. That looks okay. I'm actually going to shorten this a little bit. So if I select it once, it's going to ask for the duration here. I can also delete the transition if I need to. So why don't we just go 0.5 5 seconds. Let's cut it in half and see. I like that a little bit better. The camera motion is quick, and so I want to pair that quick camera motion with a faster dissolve. I think it looks a little bit better. Cool. So now we got our fade in, and we've got our transition added between those two clips. So let's just jump back to the beginning here and dabble a little bit with titles. So if I'm going to put text in the beginning here, I'm not going to put it in track 2 actually. I'm going to add a track. So video 1 and 2 are here. I'm going to go to this plus sign and I'm going to add a video track. Now you can rename it. I am going to rename it. I'm just going to call it titles. All right, so I know that anytime I'm going to move text into my timeline, it's going in my titles track. And that way it just helps you stay organized a little bit. And I'll show you why I didn't put it in video 2 a little bit later. So now that I've got my titles track set, I can go up to my text pane, all right, and I can start to explore some of the text options that are here. Just to quickly revisit them from last class, we have texts that have animation to them. They're going to be your motion. All right, if you want simple text, we've got static. There's no movement to this. All right, you've got some seasonal stuff, which is kind of cool. Yay, graduation. Callouts you'll probably very rarely, if ever, use. You're most often going to be in motion or in static. And the big thing to point out between both of these texts is that motion will have a limit on the duration that it can be, all right, as far as making that text appear for a shorter duration. The clip may need 3 or 4 seconds to animate in and animate out, which means you can't make that clip 2 seconds long. All right, static text you can make as long or as short as you want to because there's no animation on it. So for example, if I'm going into motion and I want to use, definitely not that. A lot of these are really kind of commercially cheesy. Like I wouldn't use that for like a short story or something. That looks terrible. So I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to use this in with a whisper. And then it goes out. All right, so I'm going to add that clip to my timeline here, and I want it to start right when that fade in is complete. And I'm going to shorten the end of it, but you'll notice because of the animation, I can't shorten it any shorter than 3 seconds. And I want it to go out right at the end of that clip. So just like before, I've got some options here that pop up. I clearly don't have any audio options as there is never any sound attached to audio transitions. So the one thing I want to do is click on the pencil in the front here. This is going to be your clip editing menu. So when this pops open, all right, it's letting you know, hey, we're editing the whisper title. Okay, and there's some things that we can tweak here. All right, most notably, what it says. I don't want it to say in with a whisper. I need a title for this. So I'm going to simply call it Good Vibes Only. All right, I also have an option to choose the color. So if I go into my swatch selector, I can say, all right, make it green. And then if I want to narrow that down even more, I can go to my pixel selector and get the specific pixel I'm looking for. All right, but I'm going to keep it white just because there's not a lot of color in this image. And a lot of that really bold color is tough to read. So I'm going to keep it white. I am going to change the font though, because I don't like that Open Sans font. I've really liking this Oswald font, and you'll see that the fonts actually give you a nice preview of what it looks like, which is really helpful. All right, so now that I've chosen this font, I can see that this font is a little bit smaller than the other one, so I can tweak that if I go over from my text properties over to my transformation tool. And so this is the same tool that will pop open for every clip. I can rotate it if I need to. I can flip it. Right, let's say you shot, I don't know, a shot on your phone, and you know how a lot of people will have wording on their t-shirt. Maybe it's inversed because of you use the front-facing camera. You can always flip that and get that back. All right, but here I can also adjust the scale. We'll make that a little bit bigger. Oh, not too big. That works. All right, and we can also just come over here into this window and then drag and move that text. All right. Now, I would love for it to go right here just so it's parallel to the needle in that cartridge, but I don't like the way that this part of the record cuts through that text. It makes it a little tougher to read, so I'm going to move it up just a bit, and we'll put it right there. And I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to save those changes. You want to make sure you save those changes. And so now, when I go back to the beginning, play that through. We fade in, text comes in, text goes out, and then we transition to our next shot. Awesome, cool. So we've got some simple titles, except I did not put that in my title track. It's going to go there. My bad. All right, cool. So I'm going to do a quick check-in on the group, see where we're at, see if there's any questions. Okay. No questions so far. Okay, that's fantastic. Hopefully you guys are following along. Do me a favor. I'm going to get into, all right, our project introduction. So I'm going to run through that in a sec. But if you can do me a favor as I move over to that in the chat, give me a thumbs up if you're moving along with me. Good, you're doing well, we're cool, everything makes sense. Give me a thumbs down if we need a little bit more explanation. So I'm going to look for that reply in the chat in a sec. I'm going to save this real quick, Command S, and then bounce on over to my project worksheet. Now this was posted on Classroom like, I don't know, 7 minutes ago, maybe 10 minutes ago. I forgot when I scheduled it. So you may have looked at it and said, well, this doesn't make sense. Or you may have looked at it and said, oh, okay, I got it. This is probably one of the shortest project sheets I've ever given, kind of by design. So let me just check in on the chat here. Adam's good. That's awesome. Thank you, Adam, for letting me know that we good. Dan is good. Fantastic. All right. Keep letting me know how we're doing while I'm going over the project. And of course, if something pops up in this project where you're like, wait a minute, explain that. I have a question. I got a thumb from Liana. Awesome. Cool. Okay. I'm going to go full frame here. Sweet. So the name of the game for this project, all right, is very simply to get you guys to use WeVideo on your own, all right, and understand all of the features and options that we have to do within this platform. So because of that, this project is not overly complicated at all. It's actually really easy. Some of you might go, Mr. Leonard, I can do this project in like an hour. Cool. Some of you might take a little while longer. And just so you know, I don't want you to get frustrated. It's probably going to take a little bit longer the first time out than it will the next time out. And think about Premiere, how that first time, how you maybe had like 5 or 6 questions on, wait, how do I do this? But then the next time we got into it, you understood how to do those things, and we were a little bit better at it. And that's what the name of the game is here, is to get you to be comfortable with this platform. All right, you guys have editing experience, all of you, because we've done it in class. So we're just taking that experience and that editing mindset and using a different tool. So here is the project that was posted on Classroom. So my objective is to help you get a better understanding of the platform so you can complete the project, but my goal is that you understand the platform so you are more comfortable using it as we get into bigger and bigger projects moving forward. So eventually we're going to be doing projects where you're going to be asked to shoot stuff around the house or at home, in the yard, anywhere that you're allowed to go, and then bringing those clips into WeVideo to complete that project. So let's get through some of the stipulations here in the shortest project sheet I've ever given. So we're going to be using the clips that I provided for you in this project that you've logged into in WeVideo. So the same clips that I've been using today in last class, you're going to be using to complete a 60 to 90 second edit of that footage. You need to utilize every video clip that's there. Okay, there are 22 video clips. In addition to using 3 clips that you found on your own in the stock media tab. All right. These project stipulations are going to start to sound familiar. All right. They mirror our first project or 2 we did in class. Okay. I want you to find clips that you feel you can use to supplement the clips that I put in there. It's also going to get you to explore that a little bit because you can search for things you like and then, oh, wow, there's a lot of clips about, I don't know, clowns. Cool. Like it's good to explore that and see what's there. It'll also give you an idea of what they don't have. If you're looking for something super specific, it might be, yeah, we don't have that. So it'll get you to explore that a little bit. All right. You also may find that You're trying to piece together something that makes sense and that you can supplement that with some clips that are required for those 3 from the stock media tab. Okay. You need to have an opening title. So there needs to be text in the beginning. All right. It can either come in before your first clip or it can come in on top of your first clip, like I just did the example in WeVideo now. But please try and make that title unique, right? So like if your title is Adam's Owl Practice Project, that's not really a great title. I know it's Adam's Practice Project before I press play, so I don't need that coming up again. Try and think of something unique and interesting that fits to some degree the smattering of clips that I put in there. Okay, and that's the sub challenge to this project, is to try and make something out of what is seemingly very random. So it's not a coincidence that it's totally random what I put in there, but it's not a coincidence that for this example today, I started with a record player and then moved into our live band, right? They're both music related, so there's some connection there. A good editor will try and make a story out of something. So in addition to that opening title, you need to have closing credits as well, and that can very simply be edited by and your name. That's perfectly fine. All right, but that will be 2 uses of text in this project. You need to use at least 5 different transitions other than cuts. Okay, so 5, quantifiable, right? I can count 5 different transitions. If they're there, awesome. If not, we missed 1 or 2. So just double check, make sure that you've got 5 different ones. And of course, if you want to go and find like the silliest, crazy, cheesy looking ones, go for it. This is the opportunity to explore what some of those things do that you might not use in a traditional, storytelling video. You need to use 2 different pieces of audio and mixed correctly as best as possible. So I supplied to you 2 songs in your project media, all right? Both of them are different but similar. They're lo-fi hip-hop. It's a really popular type of music that YouTubers use as backgrounds for their videos or for montages and things like that. And it's royalty-free, so we have access to use it. But that's not to say that you only have to use those 2. If you want to go into the audio tab in WeVideo and look through the songs and music that they provided, and you find something you like, go for it. You can use that as well. All right. And if you want to get really into it and you want to put your own music over that, you can, as long as that music is on Drive. I can show you how to get those songs in there. All right. As I move through the rest of this, if you got questions that are coming up, gang, throw them in the chat. I'm going to check back in a sec. The FX tab, which I haven't shown yet, I'll get into, all right, needs to be used on at least 2 clips, and you need to have at least 1 picture-in-picture. I will show that as well as we round out the next little bit of our edit. So I'm going to bounce back now to the Google chat just to see, or YouTube chat, see if anyone has any questions. All right, last but not least, of course, we're going to have to export this and then turn it in on Classroom, and I'll show that last little bit as well. Shannon gave a thumb. Matthew, Anna, Dylan are good. Jake with a thumb. Dan with a question. Are we starting it next week? Why would we start it next week? No. I'll get into that in a bit. All right, because I did kind of wrestle with that a little bit. So Dan, to answer your question, and then I'm going to move on to the last little bits. I'm keeping an eye on the clock here, and I want to make sure I can get these last few parts in within the next 10 minutes. So knowing that this is the first time using this platform, going off of the feedback I got from last class where a lot of people said they were anywhere from, like, I remember I asked on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel on just what we've covered so far today? A lot of people were anywhere from a 5 to a 7, the occasional 8, and that's awesome. I think that's great because we're not in that lower end of that spectrum. And I think, obviously, when you see this, you're like, oh, I remember how to do that in Premiere. I can do that here now. Cool. Adam, I'll address that question in a second. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I didn't want to say, okay, guys, it's going to be due next class because, well, today's Thursday and you've got a weekend, and then I'll see you on Monday and it's due Monday. And so I am going to give a little bit of extended time on this just to allow you guys to take your time getting into it. I think you'll find that once you get moving, this is really not super difficult. And I'm hoping that you actually start to enjoy it. I had 2 people yesterday in my 4B class email me last night and say, hey, Mr. Leonard, I just want to let you know that I was kind of playing around with WeVideo and I brought in my own stuff. And I even show them how to bring in stuff. They made their own edits already. One of them made a photo montage for their friends, and the other one did a tribute to the Rangers, which I thought was really awesome. So like, I think you'll find that it's pretty intuitive. Once you sit down and get over that hump of, okay, I have to do this on my own, then it gets to be pretty easy. So the project is technically assigned today. All right, I will see you guys again on Monday, but I'm not going to have it due until the start of class on Wednesday. And so what that's going to look like is that we will very quickly on Monday, I'm going to do a live stream. If you want to jump in very quickly and say, hey, Mr. Leonard, I'm here, but I don't have any questions on WeVideo. I'm going to go work on it. Cool, go work on it. That's going to be a day where if you maybe missed a class or want me to go over something in WeVideo again, that's going to be a question and answer session. That's going to be a troubleshooting question. That's going to be, how do I do this kind of thing? That's what that hour will be for. But come in and let me know where you're at. If you're good, awesome. Just say, hey, Mr. Leonard, I'm awesome. See you later. Cool. We'll see you again on Wednesday. And that way it allows the opportunity for people that aren't here right now or weren't here last time to have some more time with me to go through that live, as opposed to just watching those old videos. So that's what Monday's class is going to look like, and then we will have it due on Wednesday. So my advice to you guys would be either at the end of the day today, or maybe tomorrow, or if you've got nothing else going on over the weekend, I would say at the very least, it would be a good idea for you guys to try and start this project today or tomorrow, so that if you do have issues, you can come into class on Monday and say, hey, Mr. Leonard, I sat down on Friday and I started to do okay, but I'm kind of curious about transitions. Can you show those again? Not a problem. That would be my advice to you. So Adam, to answer your question about the audio, and then I'm going to bounce back to WeVideo to show the last little bits. By mixing, I just mean kind of want to make sure that that louder clip maybe comes down a little bit and that softer clip goes up a little bit, so they're on equal footing. So good questions, guys. Keep them coming. I'm going to go back and try and get through the last little bits here, all right, before we run out of time together. So far my edit is coming along nicely, all right, but let me explain the last few bits. All right. So let's just say after this clip, if I want to keep going and keep my trend of music to music, I'm going to go, whoop, not my exports. No. Okay. Am I back? Yes, I'm back. All right. Thank you guys for hanging there for a sec. It looks like my network skipped for a sec, so I'm going to move even quicker now. I'm going to take Hip Hop Santa. I'm going to shorten this a little bit. Not the window, just the tab, so that I can use part of it. And I'm going to move that down to my timeline. I'm going to put that right after. Now, I like the cut there, so I'm not going to worry about a transition. I like the boom, cut to Hip Hop Santa. All right, now, if I want to modify that clip, I can, all right, just like I did with my text. I can click on the pencil here. All right, this is going to be my clip editor. So it's going to ask how I want to edit Hip Hop Santa. I can transform it if I want to rotate it, or maybe have him dance the other way for some reason. I could do that. Of course, I can adjust the scale. I can also get into some keyframing and motion, which I haven't been too thrilled with. This is a little wonky. The color tab is actually really helpful if you want to bring up, say, the brightness. You want to increase that saturation, make those colors really pop. You don't want to go nuts with it, but you can do some subtle stuff here that'll make that look a little bit nicer. All right, you can remove a color. I can show you that in a bit. And then you can use some speed ramping, which again is a little finicky in this program. I'm going to save those changes. If I want to change the look of something, all right, as one of the project requirements, I can use the FX tab. And I think this is a perfect clip to use it. So if I go to my FX tab here, this is essentially going to take you to what are basically filters. So if you're familiar with Snapchat, Instagram, and things like that, you know how these work. What's nice is it will preview it over here. So if you're like, what does invert colors mean? If you hover, it'll show you in this window, all right, what that looks like, which is really helpful. I'm going to make this one black and white. I figured that's simple enough. Plus, it works as a theme because my music will start on black and white, and then we transition to this really bright and colorful live band. I think that's a nice contrast there. Okay. And then we're going to cut to Hip Hop Santa. And now let's say I want some more dancing. I want to continue. Let's make that a little bit bigger so we can see here. All right, I want to continue that dancing. I don't have any other dancing clips, so maybe this is a good opportunity to go into my stock media tab. And I'm just going to look for dancing and see what comes up. All right, and I know there's stuff that comes up because I've favorited this one, which is the greatest clip in the history of mankind. Here he is. Everyone's wearing plaid shirts because that's the thing to do. I don't know what the heck this guy is doing. I guess he's dancing, which is cool. So if we pause this so I can adjust my out points, I definitely want to get this. Yep, I want to get that point in there. That's the one. We'll start here. I'll bring this part over. All right, and then I'm going to move this clip to the timeline. Beautiful. Now, one of the requirements for the project is that we go picture in picture. So if I select this clip and I go over to this pencil tool to make adjustments, we have the same adjustments as before. We can color key, we can do speed, we can do color adjustments, all right, animate, and then of course transform. We can also see that this clip is called Happy Businessman Walking Through the Modern Office and Doing Crazy Dance. Man in cheerful mood greets with colleagues. That is the longest name for a clip ever. I would encourage you guys not to name your clips that much. We can scale this down and make it smaller. Okay, so this would be picture in picture. We're seeing two pictures at the same time, and I would probably move it out of the way of Hip Hop Santa. Let's get this guy in the corner. All right, and I understand that visually this doesn't look great, but it's going to let me know that you guys at least got into this editing tab and were able to transform and adjust clips. Now, if you want to find something a little bit more visually appealing, what we can go into green screen. Let's search green screen clips. And there's some good stuff. All right. Thankfully, I should have hearted it. I didn't. There is a green screen clip of someone dancing though, and I want it. Green screen dance. Sweet. Nope. Yup. This is what I want. Look at her go. She's in a green screen studio. Perfect. I'm going to take this and I'm going to shorten this clip. Now this would also satisfy the picture-in-picture requirement here. Let's add this to our timeline. Whoa, it's way too long. So I'm going to bring this over here. I'm going to go to the end of the clip. Whoops, wrong end. All right, and I'm going to use this scissor tool to make a cut in that clip so I can select the end and delete it. Now, this green screen stuff, we got to get rid of. So if I click on that pencil tool here, I can go over to my color key and I can select a color with this eyedropper to remove. Let's take out that green. All right. Now I'm not going to tinker with this stuff now, but now of course I can adjust and transform. If I want to move this dancing lady out of the way of Hip Hop Santa, that's cool. If I want to shrink her down, why not? I could do that too. And then save those changes. And now I've got Hip Hop Santa and weird dancing lady in the corner. But at least they kind of blend together, right? I'm going to save this project right there and then quickly bounce back to the YouTube chat, which unfortunately, because of the network issues, may have had a hiccup. I refresh, what happens? All right, Dan's asking, am I sharing the project with you? So Dan, if you logged in, all right, to WeVideo, and I'll show this just for everybody before we start to close on the day, as we're almost out of time. These clips are shared with you, all right? So if you go into your dashboard after you log in, all right, you're not creating a new video. You're going to go to projects, and you're going to go over in the sidebar here to shared with me. And you're going to see that I have shared this project with you. So you should see an option here for TV1 2A practice edit, in which you'll click on, an option will ask you if you want to start a new video, and you do. And then it will ask you what template to use, and you're going to select none. No template. We don't want a template. All right. Just like if we did here. Oops, I don't want to do that. Dang it. Back to dashboard. I don't want that project. Right. So from your dashboard, projects, shared with me, select the project that I have shared with you, create a new project, and then you're going to do a blank template when that option presents itself. That's going to take you into, and I'm actually going to undo and delete all of that. That's going to take you into the project. I'm going to reset everything that I did so you can see what it looks like for you. All right, you're going to come to a project that's just like this. And in order to find those clips, you're going to have to go into your project menu, My Media, Project Media, and you will see the 2 audio clips I've provided, as well as all of these clips here. So this is provided for you guys. All right, and remember, we can save and exit. All right, as far as projects go, TV1 2A practice edit, I can see that there have been 17 people that have started this project, or at least have logged in. And I can see that Mike and Shannon and Mikey P and Joe are in the project as we speak right now. Okay, so I can see the last time it was touched, and I can even unlock it and get into it myself if I wanted to, just so I can kind of, I don't know, tinker with something. And now I can see Liana just jumped in. All right, so again, this isn't like a, hey, Mr. Leonard's watching, but I do have the ability to see what's going on there. All right. So that's how that project is shared with you. The last little bit, okay, and then I'm going to wrap because I got to do this again and start over for my next period class, okay, is that when you are finished, and I understand for the rush here, guys. All right, I apologize for the rush here. All right, when your edit is finished, and I can't finish anything because I have nothing on my timeline. All right, finish for finish. Up here in the right-hand corner, you're going to select finish, and it's going to ask you a few things. One, to name the project. If you've already named it, awesome. Then you don't have to worry about this. All right, but please make sure that your name is in it so that I understand where this project came from. All right, you're going to change the resolution here to high definition. All right, we want HD, not standard. So the bigger the numbers, the better the quality. Okay, you can select a thumbnail. It gives you some options, but don't worry so much about that. It's not the end of the world. And then you need to select a destination. Now, you might have less options here than I do, as I turned off some of them for you guys, as some of these channels like Vimeo, I believe it's OneDrive, which is Microsoft. That might be there. Some of these are just not, or like Dailymotion and Vimeo are blocked, so there's no really reason to have those there. All right. The option that's selected by default always is WeVideo. You can't uncheck this, but you can select Google Drive. And of course we want Google Drive. All right. So when you hit export, and I'm not going to do that because I don't want to export this tiger clip. All right. A window is going to pop up saying it's processing your video. At that point, take a break, walk away, go have lunch. All right. When you come back, just to show you, I'm going to go over to my drive. WeVideo will create a folder in your drive. I'm going to go down here because it's alphabetical, all right, called WeVideo, which if I open up, has the 2 projects that I have exported out of WeVideo. This makes it really easy to go to Classroom, go to the practice edit assignment that was posted today, all right, and when you go to turn in, you're going to go to the option that says upload from drive, at which point it'll take you to Drive and you can go to that WeVideo folder and select the right video and then turn that video in on Classroom. So that's going to be a really easy way to connect from WeVideo to Google Drive and then from Drive to Classroom. All right, so I hope that makes sense. That's pretty self-explanatory. I think you guys will be fine moving through that. All right, and I do hate to very rudely cut this short, all right, as we're all here, but my next class starts in 3.5 minutes and I need to reset all of this. So, to recap, all right, and if you need to go back in the stream when this video is done, go back and rewatch some stuff, but I would encourage you to try and get into this project today, tomorrow, or over the weekend if you want, just so that on class time for Monday, if you have questions, we can be together where you can ask those. Okay, it might be a little bit more challenging for me to try and get a reply to an email Monday night, Tuesday, when the project is due Wednesday. So I don't want you to wait on that if you can ask those questions earlier. So take your shot at working today, tomorrow, over the weekend, just to play around. And if that way, if you have questions, we can chat about them on Monday. If you're good, come in on Monday. Let me know you're good. Hey, Mr. Leonard, I got this. I'll see you on Wednesday. My project will be turned in on Classroom. Awesome. All right, so Monday is going to be a very quick touch base or a Q&A troubleshooting session. If you have any questions or issues, we can work them out then. All right. I'm going to go because I keep rambling and I've said everything I needed to say multiple times. I just want to make sure that you guys hear and understand that. If you have questions today, email me. All right. I'll be in lock with my computer for the rest of the afternoon. I got a busy day ahead of me as far as getting some other projects taken care of, and I'm working on the show. I'm done. I will see you guys on Monday. Enjoy your weekends. Play with WeVideo. I'll touch base with you next week. All right. Adios.